When students work on word problems or get introduced to word problems, they get caught up on keywords when trying to solve the problem. Students need to understand why they are using a certain operation and what the problem is asking. Now let's start on our first example. Eloy has 33 Legos in his toy box. His tia gives him some more Legos. Eloy now has 134 Legos in his toy box. How many Legos did his tia give him? When I look at this problem, I think, oh, okay, I'm just going to subtract 33 from 134, which is going to give me 101. So that will tell me how many Legos his tia gave him. But the thing is, students these days are not taught like this. When students read this problem, this is what they see in their head. This is where we as teachers step in and get students to ask themselves, what kind of problem is this? What's happening in this problem? Is it subtracting, adding, separating, comparing, or joining? Students need to read the problem and maybe focus on one sentence at a time and talk through the problem. Ask the student what is going on in this problem. Eloy started off with 33 Legos in his toy basket. 33. So what I'm going to do first is write 33 in my start bubble. As I'm doing this, I can ask the class if they agree with my reasoning. Then we can move on to the next sentence. What happened next? His tia gave him some more. We don't know the amount she gave him, so what we're going to do is write a question mark in our change bubble. What we do know is that the mystery number is going into the start number to give us the ending result. How do we know this? Because the sum equals 134. And 134 is bigger than 33. Okay, so we know that a mystery number had to be added to 33 to get 134. Setting up problems like this really helps students picture it in their head and they can have a visual of the problem. Now the students can see that this is a join problem. And our result was 134. From here, let's use strips to continue with our visual. What we do know is that Eloy ended up with 134 Legos. I'm going to draw a strip, or I just drew a strip that represented the 134 Legos. 134. The other number we know is 33. So we can draw the 33 right here. So Eloy had 33 to begin with, and with this they can see that this missing number, the missing part right here, is what we're looking for. With this visual, students can see that 33 plus this number is going to give us 134. So now they can realize that they can do 134 take away 33, which 4 take away 3 is 1, 0, bring down your 1 is 101. Now we can see that Eloy received 101 Legos from his Thea. Now students can understand why you do this to get the answer after you have identified what kind of problem it is. And we did this by using the join bubbles that we did right here and the strips. Now students can see why it makes sense to subtract 33 from 134 so we can get the missing number. The goal is for students to understand reasoning with these word problems, not just plugging in numbers. Okay, now for our second problem, this is going to be a separate problem. We're going to ask ourselves what is going on, just like we did in the previous problem, and what is happening in this problem. Mila has 13 cookies on her plate. She gave some to her Thea. Now she has 8 cookies left. How many cookies did Mila give her Thea? I just drew 13 cookies right here because sometimes kids like to have visuals, so just thought it would be neat since it's cookies. So what we do know is that Mila started off with 13 cookies. That's how many she started off with. So I'll start off with writing 13 in my start bubble. So what happened next? Mila gave some to her Thea. So we know that she gave some away, but we don't know how many cookies. So what we're going to do is write a question mark in our change bubble. We do know that we're pulling some from the 13 cookies to give away. So 13 is getting pulled away. Do we know how many Mila ended up with? Yes, she ended up with 8. So the ending result was 8. We know that she started off with 13, and then she gave some away, and then she ended up with 8. So from here, let's use our strips to continue with our visual. Mila had 13 cookies, and then she ended up with 8 cookies. Now you can see what we're looking for. Students can see what part is missing. So now we can subtract. 13 minus 8. If we want to do this, we can do that. We can figure out that 13 minus 8 equals 5. So now, just like we did in our last problem, students can see the visual from the change bubbles and from the strips, and they can understand that Mila gave her Thea 5 cookies. So the most important thing here is to realize that we really need to get the students to understand the reasoning behind these problems and to understand why things make sense when we're plugging them in, joining or separated and comparing, and that they're not just plugging in numbers.